What's going on, everybody? What is up, everybody? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Do me a favor, let me know if you guys could hear me or not. Let me see if you guys can hear me. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are good, and I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me okay? What's up, everybody? So there's about to be a very big live on Twitter Space, and I thought I might help out the Algorand Foundation and actually film this for them. So let me get right in here. Let me see this. How's everyone doing today? Everyone's good? How you guys doing? Say hello. Don't be shy, everybody. Say hello. Let me see where that is. Francisco. Hey, what's up? Yo, Adet, how you doing? How's everyone doing? So there's about to be a live right now from a Twitter Space, and I wanted to bring it to you guys. They're going to be talking about 1 billion transactions that were passed on Algorand. They're going to be talking about the Algo Kit by John Allen Wood, the CTO of Algorand, and Paul, who's going to be the chief product officer of Algorand, is going to talk about increasing transactions per second from 6,000 to 14,000. So let me find the space, and I'm going to push it on in a moment, okay? 1 second, John. Let me just find the space. To the moon. Is there a presser saying Algo too? Okay. 1 second. So Algorand Foundation. Foundation. All right, so it's going to start in about 5 minutes. Say hello, everybody. I'm sorry, I was actually in the middle of making a video, and I actually redid my entire studio, so I kind of got it up, and I was in the between recording a video, and then all of a sudden, I get this news that Algorand Foundation is about to do this live, so yeah. The problem with Algorand Foundation is whenever they do an Algorand Foundation, 14,000 transactions per second. So currently we could do 6,000. What they're doing is they're increasing the amount of transactions per block. And as the block is getting shorter, smaller, that increases the transactions per second. Thank you so much. This is not the studio, though. Believe me, this is not the studio. This is just one part. I'm making a video right now, and you guys are going to see the new studio. It's really dope. I was actually talking about an Algorand video. By the way, guys, if you want some Algorand gear, it's right here. And then I saw the space is about to go on. It's going to start in 4 minutes, and I thought it would be really, really cool. Is this my new studio? This is part of my new studio. This is just my desk area. But you'll see the studio in just a moment. I'm still calibrating the lights. I'm still calibrating a lot of stuff. But this is one part of the studio. This is my desk area. Where I'm going to be doing podcasts. So I'll probably end up getting a different mic over here. I'm going to get like a podcast mic, Yeti mic. And over there, you guys don't see it, is where my stage is, where I have like a lot of different lights and I have a lot of different, it's really cool, really cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is just part of it. The real studio is over there. You guys are going to see it a little bit later. It's going to start in 3 minutes. By the way, guys, let me promote one of my channels. I started a brand new channel. If you guys want a link, the brand new channel is called Hustlers University 2023. It has nothing to do with Andrew Tate. I'm going to be going over every side hustle on the internet, and I'm actually going to be doing every single side hustle so you don't have to. eBay, Amazon, Upwork, Fiverr, flipping things, buying couches, selling couches, car washes, cleaning windows, whatever. If this is something that interests you, sign up to my other channel. It's going to be really cool. The other channel is not talking about stocks. It's not talking about crypto. It's literally going to be generic. So if there's a crypto bot, I'll show you guys how to use a crypto trading bot, for example. It's all about side hustles and making money, you know? It's about to start in a moment. So if you guys want to check out my other channel, let me shill it really fast. 1 second. Let me just 1 second. This is going to be the channel right here. This is the channel right here, guys. If you guys want to check it out, that's my channel that I started. This is literally only side hustles. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make money, flipping houses, flipping cars, everything, whatever. I'm going to show you guys how to make money from scratch. Because if you guys know, I'm doing YouTube full time. This is my income right now. Thankfully, I made a lot of money in my business, so I was able to save up money. I also have income coming in from my real estate. But other than that, this is how I'm making money, YouTube. So now I'm going to be showing you guys the process of making money. No pool hustling, just regular hustles like how to make extra money on the side. I'm not a great pool player. I'm okay, but I can't make money. That's not hustling. That's more like scheming, you know what I mean? Let me see. It's going to start in about a minute, guys. By the way, how's my volume? How's the audio? Perfect? No problems? Zero problems? It should be perfect, but I'm not sure. It should start in about a minute. Give me a second. All right, guys. Let me share the screen. Present. Share. Chrome tabs. I don't think it started yet, so I'm just waiting. It's right here.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Mr. John Woods, how are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing good. Excited to chat with you and Gary again.
Yeah,
This is going to be a fun Twitter Spaces.
absolutely.
Fantastic. How are the holidays, John?
Pretty good. I got another cold, so that wasn't too good. But otherwise, it was fun. Having a bit of a break and just spending some time with the family. Good times. How about you?
Oh, very nice. Sucks to hear about your cold, but no, it's good. Well, it's summertime here in Brazil, right? So it's always
Of
good around the
course.
holidays. We don't have the stereotypical, Christmas movie. It's snowy winter. It's a very different kind of winter down here, but it's fun. So it was a good break.
Good times.
Fantastic. All right. It seems like Gary is about to join us in a second. He just sent me a quick text message. So we'll get started in a minute.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna start in just a
But in the
moment.
meantime, I just want to thank the Algo fam, for showing up so quickly in a Twitter Spaces that we literally announced just about ready. Catch the recording later. Hey, Gary, I see you. Hey, Gary, how's it going?
Hey, Fred. Happy New Year. Great to talk to everyone.
Happy New Year to you as well. How's everything going in cold Boston? Is it super cold there today?
40 degrees and miserably cloudy is how I would describe it right now.
Oh man, I don't want to make you jealous, but it's 85 here in Brazil right now, and it's very sunny and beautiful. So sorry about that.
We have one of our folks is in Uruguay and was just telling me they're still celebrating. They're still celebrating. I guess Argentina winning pretty much is like a celebration for a whole bunch of countries, and they're still celebrating in the summer weather. So jealousy.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. What about you, John? How's the weather over there?
Yeah, it's terrible. I live in Ireland, so it's always bad. Also, even though I'm from Europe, I was also delighted to see Argentina win. So yeah, good times there as well.
Oh, me too, man. I'm Brazilian, so obviously I was waiting for that sixth title to come home. But as soon as Brazil was knocked out, I was 100% Team Messi. So yeah, I'm happy that Argentina took it home.
And what a great final it was. It was so good.
Oh
Actually,
yeah, one
I
of the most epic soccer games in history,
I
right?
I I was like walking in the park with my family, and I was watching it on the phone. My wife was like, "Oh, put the phone away. Spend some time with your kids, whatever." And then when it got to like 2-0, I was like, "Oh, whatever, it's over." And then we passed this pub, and she was like, "Oh, look at the decorations, really nice in the pub. Let's go in for a drink." So I'm like in the pub for a drink. The game's on, and then boom, I'm like having a beer, and then the game gets more exciting, and the whole thing was awesome. And then I ended up just drinking and watching it till the very end. So it was great.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was one of the best games in soccer history, man. Loved it. Fantastic. But alrighty, let's get started. I mean, there's so much tech I want to talk with you both today. So, Algo fam, thank you very much for joining in this very impromptu last minute Twitter spaces. I was super happy that I managed to get some time from the crazy schedule that is John's schedule and Gary's. So we can talk a little bit about some of the latest tech upgrades that we have seen in our blockchain over the last few months. And of course, celebrate a little bit Algorand reaching 1 billion transactions, processed on chain. So for all of you that still don't know for any reason, I'm joined today by John Woods, who's the Chief Technology Officer at the Algorand Foundation. Prior to joining the Algorand Foundation, John worked as Chief Architect of Cardano IOHK and has also held roles leading software architecture and applied cryptography at a number of firms, including Informatica and Consensus. And I'm also, very pleased to be joined today by Gary Malouf. Gary is head of engineering at Algorand Inc., and he has built and scaled engineering teams across a spectrum of companies, from startups through public traded companies with significant achievements in large scale data event processing space. He joins Algorand from Wayfair, where he led teams responsible for customer information platform by bootstrapping their machine learning platform organization and scaled the on-site media sponsored products platform. I'm super thrilled to be joined by both of you today. So maybe we can start by just celebrating a little bit Algorand reaching 1 billion transactions on chain with zero downtime in the last 2 years. And maybe Gary, you can speak a little bit about that. And of course, for all of the Algo fam that watched the live streaming or was present at Decipher, which touched a little bit on this topic, the panel that we had at Decipher. But maybe Gary can share just a little bit, on what has been the technology achievement. What does it mean for a blockchain to be able to process 1 billion transactions, being live since June of 2019 with zero downtime?
First of all, thanks, Fred. I'm really pumped to be here. A billion transactions is huge. It also, and it accelerated in the last few weeks. We had folks in the community test our increased block sizes and shortened round times. I mean, I saw the largest block ever on Algorand on December 25th at almost 52,000 transactions. And I think I think I exchanged stuff with several of the Algo fam on that front. We saw a sustained 5K TPS for I think over 30 minutes last week. The similar community member was running, unrelated to us, by the way, because I don't think I would have scheduled a test for December 25th to be fully transparent. 1 billion's a huge milestone. I expect us to get to 2 billion a whole lot faster than the first billion took. Like obviously, when we started June 2019, there wasn't a whole lot of people building or activity on the chain. The community's come a long way. Even in just looking back the last 12 months, it's been a gigantic growth. I joined Algorand summer 21, and I think there was one app launched on at the time. Like there's just the sheer number of applications, whether DeFi, whether Web 2 supporting that is launched, it's been really rewarding, and it's fun to work with all these folks as they figure out how to build on the technology. And it's scaling really well. I was really proud of how we've handled the last few weeks of traffic, and we're just going to keep hammering at it. The group, the engineers themselves are less hypey maybe than other communities, just the engineering side, because we're laser focused on building something that's great and reliable. And that's all I can do is we're going to give the best effort we can, and we're going to continue to keep scaling this thing.
This is fantastic. And Gary, you touched on a point that I hadn't touched before, that you saw, on December 25th, a block with more than 50,000 transactions. If just for like a very high level, can you just understand how can we build a block
So inner transactions support, I don't know if I'm coming through clearly, but inner transaction support was something that we added to Algorand in late 2021, which is basically this idea that you can have a bunch of sub transactions under a parent application call. And obviously you can imagine all the value on that. But one of the things that's nice about those is they're cheaper than normal pay transactions. And that's actually something we don't always remember when we're doing performance. Like we performance test with asset transfers, with pay transactions, with application calls, with more expensive combinations. This is the cheapest calls you can do on Algorand, and frankly, the way it's set up are inner transactions, and it allows in terms of computation cost. And so that means you can get 16 transactions executed for it's significantly cheaper than it would be to do 16 pay transactions or 16 asset transfers. And so what we were seeing is that folks realized the person that was doing this was trying to demonstrate two things. One, they were promoting their product, and two, they were also interested in getting vanity application IDs or asset IDs. Like I think one of the ones that I saw them post on Twitter was 987654321. Congratulations. But what they found, and something that we're excited that the community found rather than us directly pointing out to, is that you can get a whole lot of transactions into a single block by using groups of 15 on application calls. And again, the type of operation and the cost of it plays into it, but they're cheaper in that you don't have signatures on each of these sub transactions. The signature is on the top level one, and obviously adding cryptography in there is where a lot of compute cost comes into play. The transactions are still tracked. You go to Algo Explorer, you see all of them. They appear on the blockchain. They appear in the metadata of the top level transaction versus standing alone. But that's roughly how if you want to jam a bunch of transactions in, you typically do it through an application call with several sub transactions.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Gary. Appreciate it. And just, out of coincidence, actually the project responsible for helping create the 50K block and also helping us reach the 1 billion transaction is actually listening to us live right now. And towards the end of our Twitter Spaces today, I'm going to open for the community for anybody that has any questions for you or John or want to comment something. And I know this project has already requested to speak, so maybe they have a little bit to share about why they decided to do it or what they're doing. But to the entire community, this is a very open conversation today for all of you. So if you have any questions, anything you want to ask John and Gary, just hit that request button right now. And we're going to go through a few questions that we want to discuss today, and then we're going to give the floor to all of you, so you can come and ask these guys anything that you want. All right. But well, Gary, the last few months have been very busy for the Algorand engineering team, right? We released the first batch of performance upgrades, which brought Algorand to 6,000 transactions per second at a 3.7 second block time with instant finality. Then we launched state proofs. Then we brought on-chain randomness, and we have not stopped there. You, Paul, and the entire team has already hinted that we're going to continue working on improving some of these features while working on some of the others. But maybe we can just take a step back and just talk a little bit about maybe starting with state proofs. What was the road to create state proofs, right? So how was the actual engineering process to get us to the state proof solution running on mainnet? And then, of course, what are the next steps for state proofs? How do you envision that state proofs can evolve and get even better in the future?
State proofs has been in the making for almost the entire life of Algorand, right? Going back, we used to call them compact certificates. There's a paper based that's named off of that several of the founding engineers of Algorand actually wrote on this and the value proposition. We decided to rename them state proofs because of the potential of what you can do with them. We actually had an early version of state proofs in the actual main line of the code base disabled with state proofs launched in September. So this was actually back in mid 2021. This first appeared. It ran outside of mainnet. It was labeled under future, and it allowed us to gather data on how much what is going to be the potential compute costs when everybody's running this at full scale. What are the considerations and what are the right level of intervals? We decided pretty early on that post-quantum security was a key feature that we needed to iterate on early and often. I think I saw even a post from John recently about how quickly quantum computers are coming, and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. We want to be the chain that's ready for this. And so we decided early on our priority is, even if we launch a chain that has wider intervals than ideal initially, a state-proof chain, I should say, that has wider intervals than maybe everyone wants initially, we wanted to show the post-quantum security early and often. We originally used our internal keys that we use for signing our normal transactions. We actually switched over to something called Falcon keys that are a bit more what we would call snark friendly, because we're thinking, context is, we're thinking ahead of how do we build state proofs that not only are post quantum secure, but can then be snarked, or basically shrunk into a much smaller representative proof, so that it's cost efficient to run on other chains that have more substantial concerns, such as Ethereum. So right now we have a 256 block interval between state proofs. We're actually looking at several solutions to make the right trade-offs between how do you give different chains of proofs that are more rapid and give you the answer you want. Maybe you trade off post-quantum security on smaller intervals and then use the post-quantum secure state proofs on the wider ones to make sure the overall chain is safe. Those are the types of trade-offs we're talking through right now internally and starting to spec out. Some people have brought up wanting a rapid state export function as another thing that we're thinking about. Some of the considerations, again, I don't want to commit because we're still in research mode and I want to be careful research changes. We're looking at slightly lighter weight cryptography, leveraging longer lived committees that are used to sign the state proofs today, like right now we require, looking back, I believe, to 128 rounds to figure out who should be in the committee. And I may be speaking wrong. We'll double check that after the call. And another option even is snarking our actual consensus or some other convincing statement about the online voter signatures, right? Because the bottom line is you're trying to convince people, you're trying to give people beyond a reasonable doubt that when we say this state is real, it's real. So those are we realize that people want tighter intervals, and so we're working towards that, but we don't want to give up the post-quantum security. So how do you make the right trade-offs there? And we don't want to be short-term optimized.
This is amazing. Thank you, Gary. This is crazy. And just a quick question. So, state proofs have been running on the Algorand blockchain. I think it was released in September, right? September or October. But a quick question on the light clients. Have any light clients already been released for, say, Ethereum or other chains? Are those in the pipeline? Is that something that's going to be developed by Algorand Inc. or not? Just where's the roadmap on those?
Again, we have I believe there's a light client out there via the Go SDK that we have today that you can use for state proofs directly. I think it's probably a good use case for something like a wallet application. I would say less appropriate right now is building directly against Ethereum, just because the cost model doesn't make sense. We are actively working on snarking the current state proofs. We have multiple cryptographers and engineers working on this project as we speak. At that point, there'll probably be some form of light client available in order to demonstrate how you could do this. Again, we are targeting some of the neighboring chains that are most widely used, where people would most want to exchange tokens across chains early on. Like that'll be the early point. But the idea is you can use these you can go through any chain. And obviously several bridges exist today that are not fully trustless, but are still of interest. We've talked to several of those. They're very interested in using both either state or snark proofs. So we're just right now there's two concurrent goals going on. One is shortening the intervals, and two is making sure that the snark proof, which is to me is part 2 of state proofs, is out there and providing a cheap way to verify Algorand state from other chains.
Yeah, just to kind of summarize, because Gary's a lot of the stuff Gary said is quite complicated, and I know not everyone in the audience is going to be like super technical. So a snark is a zero knowledge proof, which is a mathematical proof that something is correct. And so what Gary's saying when he's saying it's snarky, or we can represent it as a snark, the reason we need to do that is because in some contexts we can't verify the state proof directly, because the mathematics that it uses to be post-quantum secure, so secure against these super groovy quantum computers from the future, is really heavy. And so you can't run it on your wristwatch. You need a proper computer to verify this stuff because it's really complicated mathematics. So the idea of the snark is, if you're like verifying this on Ethereum, where it costs like a ton every time you do anything, you need something that is very light computationally. You can't ask Ethereum to verify a state proof because you'll pay $1,000 or something. So if it's even feasibly possible in the EVM, which I don't think it probably is. So, these snarks allow us to be more expressive and allow more interoperability between state proofs and other things that are not as computationally as capable.
Fantastic. Thank you, John, for that. Truly appreciate it. And well, Gary, moving on in terms of like the latest performance upgrades, you and the entire team, you have launched back in this, I think it was like early September, the first round of performance upgrades, which really brought a lot more scalability to Algorand, right? So we went from basically 1,100 transactions per second all the way to up to 6,000 transactions per second. We reduced block time from 4.4 seconds to around 3.7 seconds that we are right now. Can you just tell a little bit of how we've achieved that? Because that was a huge performance upgrade all at once. And what are the plans moving forward that you and the team are looking at to get those numbers even higher and faster?
Starting off, that was a huge upgrade. We actually it was actually a significant refactoring of a lot of our internals, specifically the data access layer, and optimizing how quickly you can get lookups. We had an incremental release back in March, actually, that was from a how did it benefit the community perspective, was uncapped assets and apps. Folks might remember it was our first major consensus upgrade it was one of our first major consensus upgrades of the year. But that will actually pave the way for the much higher TPS support. We basically, in short, we needed to optimize our database model for really fast access. So a lot of that was straight up low-level engineering to get it into a better place. At that point, we spent once we've gotten that out and gotten a lot of success with that and saw folks using it and worked out any kinks, it was straight up performance testing and hammering the system in all kinds of ways. When you shrink round times, that's a pretty significant thing because it's really hard to go back, right? And so you want to make sure that once you shrink that round time, it's going to handle situations where there's 10 transactions in a block or 10,000 transactions in a block or 50,000. So a significant battery of tests went throughout the summer. I think we were targeting July at one point. We ended up doing this in late September for this reason. We wanted to be 99.999% confident that this was going to work really well. And it was something we had cooked up for a while. It went out, it was really successful. I also think bluntly, the 6,000 TPS was a conservative number. We try not to overpromise to this community. We want the community to trust us when we say something works. And, obviously we hit a 50,000 transaction block, do the math there. That's 10,000 TPS. The network kept running. Everything was smooth. The round times were great. And we'll continue to see that type of performance going forward. Even since September, what was really fun is after we got that release out, we realized we needed to learn a lot more about the performance across our broader network, right? How efficient our relays are. What is their RAM CPU usage? How do they handle large spikes when someone throws tens of thousands of transactions in a part of the topology all at once? So that's been really fun in building the telemetry, and we've done several of these smaller releases that didn't get the attention of the wider community intentionally in order to better understand that. We did block compression. We did earlier transaction dedupe. A silly thing we did was we optimized our trace logs for how we make sure consensus is successful. That actually had a huge performance boost in it. Because of all of that, we actually are planning somewhere between a 300 and 500 millisecond round reduction coming up in the next several weeks or months. Because of all the work we've already done. So I'd love to tell you, hey, there's a bunch of things we're waiting on. There's not that much. We've done most of the pre-work to cut the round times even further, and we're pretty excited about that. For anyone who's technical enough, there's things like batch transaction verification that are coming, something called elastic rate limiting via a congestion manager, speculating on block assembly. Some of that will add even more potential, but we're actually in a pretty good position right now to tighten round times as it is. And as I talked about, I believe at Decipher, John and I were on stage together on this. We're not doing it in one shot. We're doing it incrementally to make sure that not just us, the network itself is running great, but all the applications that are built on top, they are able to successfully update their assumptions along the way. It's bluntly, at this point, there's so many people running. You have to make sure that the entire community's in a position to succeed. It's not just about the core protocol anymore. So that's the part where we're a little bit more cautious, but honestly, this feels like a pretty fast rate of upgrades lately. I don't know how other folks feel when I look at other chains. We're moving at a good speed right now.
I can say absolutely, dude. And so, I can tell you from my days doing basically what you do at the Inc. That's what I was doing at Cardano, and like you just said, you're when you're rolling this out to the real world, every every line of code you change is potentially, has a serious impact on our users, on the applications, etc. And so, it's a huge responsibility when you're building a system like this. You got to test it, you got to make sure it works, you got to make sure it's perfect. And I think the pace at which the the protocol is being evolved is really, really quick. Um, and also, like you say, there's so many edge cases to consider out there when you're rolling something like this out, and you find out that it breaks some very, very, very kind of subtle edge case. It really is. It really is one of the hardest ends of engineering that I've worked in. So I think you guys have done a great job.
Thanks, John.
Awesome. And Gary, you touched a little bit just now, but also at the Cypher, I got the opportunity to ask you because you said that, the Ink team, you guys have all this, suite of tools to monitor Algorand to a really deep level to make sure that the chain is behaving properly, across the participating nodes, the relay nodes, block creation and all of that. And you just mentioned a little bit that, chain behaved kind of as expected during the high loads that we sustained during the last week of the year. But if you can do just a little bit of a deeper dive on that, what kind of tools, what kind of metrics do you follow when you're monitoring the health of the chain and how it truly behaved, during the last couple of weeks?
Great question. So for the relays, many of them, like as a good contributor to the community, they publish some level of basic telemetry on just counters, right? How many transactions am I seeing? How many connections do I have open at different times, right? And basically getting that telemetry published. It's a lot of it is open and folks could see it themselves. There's nothing really secretive. It's not publishing any like hidden data about folks, but more general. Hey, what does my part of the world look like, right? And once you take that, you can actually graph a pretty interesting diagram of how transactions flow throughout the world bluntly. And you can start seeing where hotspots might happen and why hotspots happen. And it's informing how we think about congestion management algorithms going forward and really tightening up the not just the scale, but the security of the network in terms of how you manage connections in and out. That's kind of been the biggest thing in terms of how do you build the performance tests. Great question. Modeling mainnet has been, I would argue, not doing any performance optimizations, but actually modeling the behavior of mainnet has been the single biggest challenge that I've seen in my time here at Algorand, because there's nothing like it. You'd have to spend an inordinate amount of money to truly build a model of it because of how the distribution of slightly different hardware that everybody runs on. Not everyone, many of us might think, oh, everyone just runs in AWS. No, plenty of people run dedicated hardware and participate. Plenty of people are running in other cloud providers. Plenty of people have different network capabilities. And so modeling that is extremely hard. You start off with averages, which is not the right answer, by the way. And instead, what you learn over time is what are the estimated number of connections flowing through at Y number of relays, and you start building automated models off of that. And so when we spin up a test, we run for longer periods of time. We have short tests, of course. We have 1-2 minute tests, but really what you want to see is how do you sustain this for 30, 60 minutes, 10 hours, 24 hours? And that battery it's not cheap to run, not just in terms of hardware costs, but also analyzing the data, making sure that where are there concerns, where can people throw wrenches in what our plans are. That is, again, stepping back, that's just the single hardest thing about doing distributed engineering and distributed computing in general. And it's a fun challenge. It's why I love being here and doing this job. So.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it for that. And just as a reminder for the community that very soon we're going to open for community questions. So if you want to ask John or Gary anything, just hit the mic request button right now. And it's going to be a pleasure to bring you to the speaker board. But so Gary, you mentioned that you have a few active areas of research, right? So the team is still very much working on state proofs, trying to research possible ways to potentially reduce latency by half, cutting, state proof production to 128 blocks. You're also looking to decrease block time by maybe another 0.3 to 0.4 seconds in the future. What else is in the continuous roadmap of research for the Algorand engineering team?
I think I would go back to Paul's keynote at Decipher. It's basically interoperability, performance, and scale. Making it as easy as possible for developers to build on the platform. Something that John has really invested heavily in most recent. We know AlgoKit's coming in the upcoming weeks. Like those are the broad areas. In terms of specifics, it's how to, whether it's supporting PyTeal, supporting the launch of AlgoKit and Beaker, which is really a joint venture between the Inc. and the foundation in many ways. Encouraging other language developers. There's folks in the community that are developing great languages beyond what we've developed internally. How do we make the SDKs as easy as possible to use has been interesting as well. We've one of the cool things I'm excited about is with the indexer that many folks on here may not even know what it is. The indexer is actually how you query a lot of the data that's on Algorand. What we've done is split that out into components, and we're making it so folks can individually take the pieces that they need, build whatever product, whether they want to build a data product off it, whether they want to build an API service. We're trying to dumb it down so that folks in the community can take larger ownership while staying in sync with the changes to consensus over time. Basically, we're trying to move towards how do we distribute as much of the inputs. How do I want to word this? How do we distribute as much of the technology development of the network as possible over time? It's been an Inc. development to date. We're trying to start inversing this over the next coming months and years. And it'll start with things like the indexer and the SDK. We expect to see more contributions to the core protocol over time. That's a big priority for us. That's how you develop a healthy community. I'm just talking on the technical front. Obviously, we could talk about the steering of the overall roadmap over time. But that's kind of some of the things we're thinking through.
And just to add to that awesome description, I should say that I heard from Alessandro, our head of product for DevTools, that we're expecting an early beta of or beta, depending on where you're from, of AlgoKit next week. So it's getting real. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Fantastic, John. Can you tell us a little bit more about AlgoKit? What's going to be AlgoKit? What kind of tools are you bringing for the developers?
Yeah, sure. So for me, it's just about making the experience great. And so AlgoKit is an end-to-end or a soup to nuts solution for building applications on Algorand. And so it's got a whole bunch of stuff which makes the experience great. And it's just like when you're developing an Android app, you expect that there's templates. We got that in AlgoKit. You expect that there's like a simulation environment. We have that in AlgoKit. You expect that you're able to test your code easily before you push it out. We have that in AlgoKit. And you expect that there's developer tools which make your life easy, whether that's pulling packages, one-click install of the developer tooling, or just being able to distribute your app. We're going to have a command line interface, templating, we're going to have syntax highlighting, we're going to have an IDE that works. It's just going to be the first step into a development process that is modern and as people expect it. And let me be clear, the Inc. and the team that look after the Algorand virtual machine and all of that applied research have done a terrific job in building the language, in building the expressiveness of the language, PyTeal, and taking it to where it is. So AlgoKit is not replacing that. It is exposing it to users in a way that you don't have to be super technical to enjoy. Like right now, you can do anything with the language. It's Turing complete. You can express anything you like, but it's not that easy to use. It's great, but it's not that easy to use. And so what AlgoKit is, it's the sugar on top that just makes it easier to use. Gary, did you want to add something there? I seen your mic go off.
I'm nodding in agreement repeatedly, John. Is like the shift here is from building correct. We've done a lot of work focus on correctness. We also have to keep investing in ease of use, and this is the first major, to me, one of the first major steps there. And we have more to do, but this is a big win for the community. I'm pretty thrilled with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to finish, it's exposing the stuff that the Inc. have built in a way that's super easy to interact with. It's basically like moving from command line to a UI. So we're really excited about it. And when we get it out there next week, the official first drop is, the out of beta drop is March. But we want to get it into people's hands. So looking forward to having feedback. And the repo is going to be open. We want the community to get involved. We want PRs from people out there. So if you want to change things, if you want to get involved, make your PRs. We'll pull it into the repo. It's collaborative. It's not just us. We're starting it off because someone needs to get the ball rolling. But it's very much open to community development as well.
Amazing, John. Thank you for that. Very much looking forward to seeing it live next week. Appreciate it. And maybe, John, the last question that I have for you in terms of the latest tech upgrades that we have was on-chain randomness that came live last year, right? Can you tell us a little bit of what does it actually mean to have on-chain randomness? How did we achieve this? What can we do with this? And how does it, compare against maybe other solutions that other blockchains have to achieve this as well?
Yeah, totally. So, generally speaking, in computer applications, randomness can be important. And so there are many different applications where we need randomness in order to either establish secure connections, or more so in the context of why we did the on-chain randomness, for applications to have some sort of unpredictability. And so let me be more specific. You know, if you are trying to build some kind of casino game, or a game where the monsters spawn in random areas so that the user can't predict, or equivalent, right? So any of these kind of examples where you need some kind of randomness to vary up your game or vary up your application, you need some kind of source of randomness. And another thing that's kind of common in computer application development is folks tend to want the randomness not to be able to be influenced. And so, if I build an app on chain that lets me play roulette or some kind of casino game, if someone externally can influence the randomness that's going to come next, that's not a good thing, because then they can influence how the app behaves for certain people and stuff like that. So the goal was, how can we make it so smart contracts on Algorand have access to a source of unpredictable randomness that they can use in their app logic in order to do cool things. And so we looked at how we could build this, and there were various ways we could do it. But the way we actually went was to build a solution that actually harnesses the power of, again, the VRF. So folks will be familiar with the VRF, the verifiable random function that we use. It's the heart of consensus, or one of the core components of consensus, that selects a participant, selects people from the participation nodes to create and validate a block. Well, we use that. And so how does a VRF work? Well, there's a private key and there's an input. And so by running the VRF with a particular private key, you get an output. And so what we did was, we needed some kind of input from the chain that we could convolute through the VRF, and the output would be this unpredictable, usable randomness that apps could have. But what's the input on the chain that we could use? And so we hummed and hawed about this. And where we got to was, if we take the round number, and folks will know the round number is basically the block, right? So each block that's issued is a round. So we take the round number and we concatenate it or add it to the block seed. And by doing this, we have this kind of nonce or initialization vector that we then pass through a run of the VRF. And what comes out of that is unpredictable, unbiased randomness that can be used at an application level, that is not able to be predicted, but is also deterministic. And so we think it's a great solution. It means that folks out there can build apps now that require some kind of randomness or some kind of chaos, whether that's to make some kind of casino game or otherwise, and it'll be free to use for everyone.
Fantastic, John. Thank you. And how often is this pseudo-random seed generated on chain?
Yeah, so we're suggesting it's every 8 rounds. So I guess like a round is like 3.5 seconds now. So about every 30 seconds there'll be fresh randomness there.
Fantastic. Thank you. And well, as promised, I'm going to open for the community to join and ask any questions. And the first request that I have is actually from Billboard, which is responsible for some of these vanity app IDs collected on the run to the 1 billion transactions. So Billboard, welcome to the stage. Hey, Bill, can you hear us?
It skipped a little bit when you made me speaker. Yeah, hi. So we are responsible for the sustained load that happened recently. As you may or may not know, the asset IDs. and the application IDs when they get
Good.
created. That comes from the transaction counter on Algorand mainnet at the time. And as the billionth transaction was approaching, we thought it would be fairly neat to try and snipe that as an asset ID and to kind of immortalize it and maybe utilize it for something nice. So on December 26th, we did the first test that was fairly short compared to the billion run up. And the target there was 987654321, as Gary mentioned. This was also meant to be somewhat of a signal to the community and the builders and the ecosystem that maybe something like this would happen again. The 50K block, I have to say, was not actually intended. The 2 blocks before that, there was a 0 transaction block, so a bunch of those built up in the mempool, but it was kind of cool to see nonetheless. And then, yeah, we did a bunch more to get to a few assets around 1 billion. As for what we want to do with it, basically we see it as an NFT spotlight of sorts, where different collections can mint on the asset number 1 billion for a few weeks, and that would kind of rotate around. And we want to explore whether an migration into ad tech would make sense, and have it actually be integrate as an ad into ecosystem sites like Prestige or Asalytics. That's mostly it.
Fantastic, Bit. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And do you have any questions for John or Gary? Anything that you're curious about?
I don't think so, no.
I have a question. Sorry, this might be a stupid question, but what is a vanity app ID? Is it like a vanity address?
Just a RAM one, basically. So 1 billion or 999,999 or 987654321 and so on.
Okay, I get it. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bit. Well, if you have any other questions for John and Gary, you're going to remain the speaker board, so just let us know. Rice and Bean, you're also a speaker, and you request to be a speaker and already here in the speaker board. Please let us know what's in your mind.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Algorand Foundation, John, and everybody. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year 2023.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You as well.
yeah, you're welcome. So I just want to ask, what's the plan for Algorand technology? This is the technology I really love, but in terms of liquidity and transaction, presently I don't think Algorand is doing very fine among his blockchain mate. So I don't know what is actually going on. Like the community I am, most of them are saying Algorand is dead, Asa is dead. So I don't know what is going on, because most people are saying the dev are just eating up like the liquidity being provided to be pushing the technology, the Algorand technology up front, because the way Algorand started, everything was going fine. People were crazy about Asas, Choice Coin, FMM, and all of a sudden everything rocked. It was a very painful experience for a lot of people that, invested time and a lot of money on Asas. So the question and the situation around most communities, especially Africa, and some people that love Algorand, is what is actually what is the hope? What is actually going on? What can we expect from Algorand in 2023 in terms of liquidity and transaction and people coming back, investing in assets, just like Algorand
He
did
said people are coming back to
was
invest in
going on
assets.
fine before the rug and everything. So that is my own questions.
Okay, I'll take a stab at that. I think I feel the same, right? It's like by the way, every Algorand that I own personally is one that I bought with my own money. So I didn't get any Algorand when I joined the foundation. So I put $10,000 of my own money into Algorand before I took this job, and I've also seen that pretty much wiped out because I bought it at about 95 cent. And so, of course, like the market conditions are not fun. And I can tell you, by the way, when I was working at Consensus, which is the Ethereum blockchain studio, and I was doing architecture work there, software architecture work there. That was when Ethereum hit about 1,200 US dollars on the open market. And during the 2.5 years or so that I worked there, Ethereum basically just kept losing value. It went down to about $80. And we were worried when I was working at Consensus, we were all people I worked with were worried that we were going to lose our job because, like, well, how low can it go before they can't sell Ethereum to pay for the developers? And so it's not a very nice time for people like myself who own Algorand and are holding it, or any other cryptocurrency, because of course they're all down pretty much in unison. And it's also not a very fun time to be working. When you're working really hard at something and you're watching the market generally just have a bad time. But the way I look at it is this. Of course, I can't predict the future, and I don't know where things are going to go in terms of the global economy and wars and macroeconomic factors. But I do truly believe in the fundamentals of what we're doing. And so, what are we doing? We're trying to produce a self-sovereign, decentralized, internet-native asset class. So we're building a thing for people they can control, where we remove the middlemen of the global financial system, and to build an asset class which is as transportable and as free as the information on the internet. And so that's a very important concept. And then when you add to that the virtues that Algorand exudes, which is permissionlessness, censorship resistance, and indeed when you look at Algorand and you notice that it has best in class distributed systems engineering. It is best in class cryptographic engineers who are working on it, securing it, making it post quantum secure, making it robust, reliable, scalable, secure. These are the reasons that I spend my time getting up each day and working on Algorand with Gary, rather than taking a job in, say, another tech company like Google or Apple or Amazon. And so I think that this is really important. The work that we're doing is really important. And I would say that, to folks who bought ASAs outside of, or NFTs, and they've devalued, I mean, I think obviously it's unfortunate, but I would just say try to focus on building things, try to focus on the broader vision of what we're doing, and just generally be careful about what you invest in, because of course, as developers of this platform, which is really an operating system, we can't be responsible for the value of the assets that are produced by third parties.
I'm just going to second everything John said there, especially the last point. Like we're trying to build a system. We're trying to build a platform that folks can build upon, right? I can't focus on the value of any particular ASA or even our own token, honestly. In terms of, I think a concern was brought up as, hey, is Algorand going to be okay because the token's down X% over the last 12 months? The short answer is yes. Both the foundation and the Inc., and I'm not going to speak for everybody, we've taken several steps when times were good to make sure that we have a very, very long runway without getting into any further specs. Like, nobody's disappearing anytime soon. We know what the position that the broader economy and frankly the crypto market is in. We will be here. We want to build this thing. We see a lot of opportunity. We keep seeing businesses popped up. I think 2022 was incredible for the overall ecosystem, and I expect 23 to be even bigger. And despite that, the market just overshadowed everything. But the amount of building that's happened, we want to see those folks rewarded. And so I'm seconding John. The other thing I would say is diversifying is a good thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm not gonna get financial advice beyond that, bluntly, but we've all taken those steps, and we encourage everyone here to take those steps. I love Algorand. I love working here day to day. To second John's point, I plan to be here. I plan to be here for a long time. This is something really fun that I'm passionate about. So we are not dissuaded by any particular short-term problem here.
Fantastic. Thanks, John and Gary. Appreciate it. We have a few more community questions. Bergman is up next, and then Bit again. I just asked for the entire community that comes up to the speaker board that let's try to keep questions focused to technology today, okay? Appreciate it. Berg, you're up.
Hey, what's up, guys? Loving the space. I'm gonna try to phrase this in technology terms. John's amazing. Gary's amazing. You guys break it down on a little bit of a higher level. Yo, I need both of you guys, 1 full year, short-term marketing, short form marketing, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts for 1 year. It's going to be the most cost-effective marketing, period. Everyone's going to know everything that you guys just said. We have so much technology that nobody else has. It's a fact. Listen to the stuff that was just mentioned, but nobody knows about it. That's where our money needs to be focused on marketing. And it's the cheapest, most effective, direct marketing. Think about Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Alex Hermosi, all these people, including Andrew Tate. That's how they made a name for themselves. And that's the way we answer the first gentleman's question of how the price of Algorand goes up. Amazing technology, amazing team. And my subscribers love John. My subscribers love Gary. I'm putting this on YouTube right now. Another thing, work with the creators. You guys have 80 people in this space. I'm streaming this on YouTube right now. At the end of the day, by the end of this week, I'm going to have over 1,000 views on this video. But instead of working with the creators, nobody gives us a heads up on anything, not just this space. Work with your community, not just me, the whole community. We can do a lot more. We should work together. I'm sorry if that was not on par with what you guys wanted me to ask. That's all I wanted to say.
No, no, Adam. I think it's great. I think it's great points. I agree with you. I think a whole bunch of things. Number one, just kind of going backwards through your comment, right? I think we should the foundation definitely should be working with content creators like yourself to get the message out there. 100% support that. And so, the team has changed a lot in the last 6 months, right? It's a lot of fresh faces at the foundation. And so you're going to see a difference in behavior over time and a difference in the interaction profile over time. And we are changing how we do things. We're just also trying to get our house in order. At the foundation, there's a lot of things to do. We've been trying to spin a lot of plates, but we're getting there. And I agree, we should be working together. And on the short form, I fully agree with you. Maybe I'm just addicted to short form content. Maybe it's just me, but I spend a lot of time on YouTube Shorts, and
Yep.
it's people have just a lower attention span. I even I think people just like to flick through, watch a minute or two videos, and that's how people learn these days. So I'm 100% with you on that.
So I'm in the space. Everyone's saying love John, love Gary in my comments. So shout out to you guys from my community. But I'll give you guys an example, right? You guys were talking about state-proof, snark-proof, and it's not a criticism for you. I'm just trying to tell the community what my vision. I'm trying to put it into words. Basically, all of the state-proof, snark-proofs, that's basically saying, if I'm not mistaken, that we're going to be able to do mobile dApps in the future, complex mobile dApps, complex smart contracts on mobile form instead of using heavy computing power, right? If I'm not mistaken, something like that.
It would allow light dApps to verify the state of the Algorand chain. So it would allow very, very light bridges and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Folks, and Adam, I'll just add, folks can do some of this now. It's just the level of trust. One of the things that we try to make our trademark is we go for trustless bridges. We go for trustless solutions as much as possible. We want people to care. And so we're trying to make the right trade-offs there. And I want to see a lot more app development, bluntly. I think this is a great chain to build against on that front. And we talk to creators directly. I have Slack Connect channels with probably 50 different creators right now. I can tell you off the top of my head. A lot of folks are doing several different things at the same time in the community, which is exciting. So we're willing to do what we need to do. And I'm seconding John and yourself on the short form marketing. Not something, frankly, that I've been in. I actually worked in marketing technology for many years before I joined Algorand. Short form is new to me. I'm going to dig into it this year. I'll have fun with it. I enjoy some of the stuff that we've already done, and your message is loud and clear. We'll do more.
So thank you. So short form, for example, you and John take maybe 1 hour a week. And on that 1 hour a week, we can create 10 videos between all of the different platforms every single day and targeting. So for example, this, what you were just saying, we would say Algorand taking over mobile dApps, Algorand taking over, mobile domains, right? Something like that, something that people can resonate in. And if you blast
Absolutely.
that every single day, that's what people see. Andrew Tate never became famous until TikTok, and people were pushing his content. He never had a TikTok account. He was doing YouTube before that. That's how you get famous. You build a brand and stuff. But we'll talk. And everybody loves you guys. We just need to have short form so people hear who we are. We're so concentrated. We can't be boring. I don't know if you guys were in the cipher when I came into the room. I was the only one shouting Algorand, Algorand, Algorand. We're not the nerdy blockchain. We're not the boring blockchain. But that's not even showcased. Like, whoever's putting out content for the cipher should have zoomed in on that shit and posted on the internet. Like, this is the vibe. This is the love we have. This is the energy Algorand has. No, at the end of the day, Algorand's coming out as the old man blockchain. Like, Algorand is a Lexus. You know what I mean? Algorand is the Lexus. This is
Absolutely.
the
We
dope
heard
car
you.
that nobody cares about.
We hear you, Berg, and we're on it. We have a strategy
All
coming
right.
up soon.
Thank
Stay
you.
tuned,
Sorry
all right?
to talk too much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right, Evan, you're up, and then Bit next, and then Gorko next.
Thanks for hosting this space, and really, really excited about all the tech that's to come. Specifically, I'm really excited about pushing the envelope with smart contracts. I feel like not just on Algorand, but in general, like the design space for what smart contracts can do has been really underexplored. And so, like, one thing I got excited about recently was I yesterday launched a website on testnet that allows holders of an ASA to vote on a treasury and automatically withdraw tokens from the treasury. And I'm really excited about box storage, because I think that will make it really easy for people to spin up self-governance solutions. But I'm just curious to know if there are any other like is there, I heard a lot of talk about some cool improvements, but I want to know if there's anything in addition to box storage that will really add functionality to smart contracts, like perhaps the ability to make it easier to automate like recurring functionality, or I don't know. Just curious to hear if there's any new developments or thoughts in the pipeline on how to add new capabilities, like like you were saying about adding inner transactions. Like, I think that's super interesting and useful, and I've definitely used that a lot, right? Like, what else is there?
Evan, let me put the question back to you. What do you need? Because we saw is what we've been hammering at the last year and a half. And if you go and look at our major releases, we were checking off all the pains that we were being told by early and midterm creators of what they needed. What do you feel like? Let me put it on to you. What do you think is most missing right now? Like, what causes you pain day to day trying to build?
Yeah, the issue that immediately comes to mind, and I don't know if there's just a way to do it that I don't know of, but like an easier way to automate regular transactions. So like the way I have it now is anybody can execute a transaction. The contract gives a little reward to the person who executes something at the right time. Is there a way to make it easier to automate complex transactions on a schedule, or something like that, in a way that doesn't require somebody to trigger it?
Are you thinking like monthly rent payments?
Something like that, or I mean, the for like a DAO treasury management tool, right? You would need, like, one of the things is like a voting cycle where there's like every week, somebody can suggest a proposal, and then the proposal has to close after a certain time period and then has to be executed. And so like that execution right now has to happen by somebody triggering it. All they have to do is, send the right no op, execute, and it'll execute what the proposal was designed to do. But I would love it if the smart contract could do that by itself and I didn't have to trigger it.
Evan, let me circle with our DevRel folks. I think we actually have a few solutions to help you with that are even documented in blog posts that as I'm reading through them live talking to you. I want to make sure I get you accurate information though, because it's not the area I'm on daily, and I'll follow up with you separately offline if that's okay.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and I just wanted to communicate that need, and also maybe just like the documentation is amazing. By the way, I just want to say that the documentation for PyTeal is really, really incredible. As it is still, it's still difficult to get the information that I need right away. I know that's just going to come with more devs and more people using the chain and more people writing smart contracts. But I don't know what the best solution for that is, but that's a pain point, is like trying to like more examples. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is, but finding how to do something is still somewhat of a challenge.
We'll keep working at it, Evan. We post a whole lot of examples, and whether you're in the forum, whether you're on the dev portal, and let's keep talking, and we'll get to where you need it. It sounds like we're not covering your use case well enough, so let's see what we can do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, we're almost out of time, but I still want to run through the last two questions by Bit and then Garco. So, Bit, you have the floor, my friend.
Thank you. I did remember a question that I had. I was a bit too focused on what I had to say before. So my question is regarding state proofs and fast catch-up. As a super quick intro, fast catch-up is a way for an Algorand node that joins the network to not have to process 26,057,000 blocks, but instead get a snapshot of the current state from the network instead. So my understanding is that this currently is not trustless and that you have to trust the signature that you're being given. And the question is whether state proofs can actually cover the same, can secure this, basically. That's it.
Short answer, Bill, is yes. This is actually one of our priorities for this year. It's not the quickest thing to build, though we've started on it. We're actually designing it right now this month. It's one of the major factors, but post-quantum catch-up is something we talked about early on, even before state proofs launched. And it was one of the driving reasons we built these things. But yes, the intent is to replace /enhance, and it'll depend on your definitions of each of those, the current fast catch-up model with a trustless version that's based off post-quantum secure state proofs.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you for the question. And for the last question of the day, I invite our friends from Goracle. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, Fred. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I just wanted to add to the marketing bit. I think the biggest marketing that can come is going to be from the products that are building on Algorand. When there are these really amazing use cases people are building, and the products or what people are going to come from. Like for example, for our Oracle network, when we put out a call for node runners, we received over 7,000 people wanting to run nodes. Over 70 of them came from Cosmos, and not because they cared about Algorand, but they've run nodes in other ecosystem. A lot of them were opening an Algorand account for the first time. And so I think they're excited about oracles, and there's an Oracle Algorand, so they want to be a part of it. One thing we're doing is making it easy for people to develop. So if you go on our testnet app, let's say you build a query, you want to get sports data on chain. When you hit call, it generates the code so that you don't actually have to write code from scratch. It just generates a template for you to begin calling our Oracle feeds. And so that's, going back to the beginning, John, when you were talking about AlgoKit, that's why we're super excited. I think giving developers the tools to, create these applications really fast, it's going to be huge. And I guess my question specifically is regarding AlgoKit. I mean, I guess we should wait for it to come out. But is it kind of going to be something where, like a marketplace almost, where different apps can add to it? Like, for example, if Oracle wanted to, make a template for calling oracles, for example, would we be able to integrate that into something like AlgoKit, or is that something somebody would have to use AlgoKit and then add on? We should wait till it comes out, but just wanted to get a sneak peek from you.
Hey, absolutely. Listen, delighted to talk about it. So, yes, it is. There are templates, and they can be added to by the public, and so much so we didn't. I'm extremely there's decisions made in technical development all the time that like technical debt can haunt you for a while. And so we really wanted to be sure that we made it as permissionless as possible. So to that end, the repo where we allow templates to be added is going to be out of the control of the foundation. So we're going to have it be a public repo owned by the community. It's not going to be something that I or the foundation or the Inc. Are controlling. So there's going to be no gating of that. Anyone can add a template. It'll then be exposed to everyone who's got AlgoKit. And then another cool thing that the developers have done is that a bit like Swift Package Manager or any of the other great package managers, you can actually point AlgoKit at a GitHub repo or a Git repo rather, and you can pull it directly from there. So you can just say, hey, there's a template that I found over there in this Git repo that someone made, and even if it's not inside the standards template repo, you can just pull it using AlgoKit right there from the command line. So it's really, really open, really, really flexible. And in general, we want to encourage people to contribute templates. So absolutely, if Goracle have some, would love to have it. And that goes for everyone right in the whole space. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you very much, John. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, but I truly appreciate you, Gary, and John for taking the time for us to have this conversation with the community today. Share a little bit about the roadmap and plans for 2023, and of course, take questions from the community. But it seems like the community has so many amazing, fantastic questions about technology that, Gary, maybe I want to wrap up today by extending you another invitation that maybe sometime in the next couple of weeks, whenever we find some time that works, how about you and some folks from the engineering team join us in a Reddit AMA, so we can do a text-based AMA, so people can ask some deeper questions and you can get some very interesting conversations going. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. It'd be a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this. It's been a fun hour.
Fantastic, love it. All right, so I'll circle back with you offline, and then we'll try to find a good date to have the next conversation be a Reddit AMA. So Gary and John, thank you very much. I truly
Thank you, Lefty. Yeah, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. John seems like he's down for advertising. I'm going to speak to Gary as well, and I'm doing my part, guys, behind the scenes. It's very hard. And anytime I'm criticizing, it's like my community supports me, but these Twitter guys, they go fucking ape shit. They're like, no, blah 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 blah. Like everything is FUD. But listen, I came up with a good idea. I think that would work. It is one of the cheapest possible ways to market short form videos. It would take them 1 hour a week. Gary 1 hour and John 1 hour. That's it. 1 hour a week. That's it. With 1 hour a week, we would be able to bang out like 10 pieces of content per day. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do the content. I'm not that good. However, I know who to hire. I know how to do it. I know how to produce it. Maybe if I was doing it full time, I would be able to do it. Just I'm juggling so many things. But I would definitely be social media marketing. If they wanted that, I would be happy to do something like that and they wanted to hire me. But I'm not shilling myself. I want them to outsource it. That's what I was saying since the first day. I want them to get somebody better than me. I want me in 10 years from now. Me plus 10 years experience. And that's about it. Adam, constructive criticism, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate it. As a constructive criticism, they can cover it. Glad John is making time. Yeah, John is good. I'm talking to him behind the scenes. I'll keep everybody more posted, and I'm going to try to contact Gary as well. Two things. I have another channel that I just started. If you guys just came in here, it's called Hustlers University 2023. I'm going to be doing all side hustles, so you don't have to. eBay, Amazon, Upwork, Fiverr, flipping couches, flipping real estate, flipping cars. Like, I'm literally going to do all these things to see what can make money and what cannot make money, what works and what's whack, you know? And if you guys want a gear, Algorand gear, I have a link down below. Definitely check it out. What else? I think I'm done. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to sign off and finish editing. All right, guys. I think I'm done then. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. I love you guys. Have a great day. Love.